And we're live. Hi, and good evening. Welcome to Monday Night Paranormal Live with myself, Paul, from Host for Ghosts, Andrew from South Coast Coast, Paula, the bottom corner, and Luke from SGS. Um, Hope you've all had a good week and a safe week. I've been away on holiday in the sunshine, so I've got plenty of white bits and plenty of red bits. So it's been a very good week. So I hope you've all had a safe week and a good week. We've got a bit of news to tell everybody. Tonight we're going to talk about superstition and magic. So if you have anything superstitious and that you do or you don't do or you stay away from, please send us the comments in and talk to us. And Angela will put the comments on the screen and we'll all chat about it. Magic, is not just Paul Daniels and all of that type of magic. The magic goes back many hundreds of years, right back to Henry VIII, and if not earlier than him, then the Normans used magic as the jesters in the courts, and also witches are very much related to magic spells, magic potions. So that should be interesting. I'm sure. I think Angela's in. You like that magic, don't you, Angela?
Yeah, it's always fascinating, isn't it? Yeah.
So
like
we'll
making
be,
herbs and potions and things like that.
chatting about that. So if you have any comments on that, please do come on board. Send your comments in. Speak to us. Say myself, Paul, Angela, Paula, and Luke's on here tonight. I'm not sure where Daniel is at the moment. I'm sure he'll make an appearance at some stage. And Julia at Paranation. I'm not sure where Julia is tonight, but probably busy.
Not very well.
Yeah, she's not
Is
well.
she not well? Oh
No.
dear. I think there's a lot of that going around at the moment, isn't it? Very
Yeah.
unwell people. Me and Jem were unwell a month or so ago for a while. Just can't seem to clear it, but touch wood, we're better now. Anyway, on good news, on the bank holiday Monday, typical, we've got special guests coming on. An American paranormal group, host Haunted Souls, are coming on to chat to us live from America. So it'll be the normal Monday night time, but in their time it's about 2:15. So if you're watching and you have questions for them, lovely couple, great fun, very funny pair. I did a podcast with them to America, the first UK paranormal investigator to talk into the American, and they wanted to come on to our show on the Monday Night Live. So that's on the bank holiday Monday. I think that's the 29th. I think 26th, 29th. We'll confirm the date anyway. I did write it down. So they're going to come on. So was it
26th.
26th? So we'll be Monday Night Live, and they'll be our guests on that night. So if you have questions about America or ghost hunting in America, because they seem to do things slightly different, and these couple, they run events all over America, very, very well known in America, and you could talk about anything to them, and they know all about Gettysburg and all these asylums. But they're a great, great couple, very funny. I mean, Luke's watched the podcast back. They're quite funny, aren't they, Luke?
They're very good, yeah.
And when you're sort of talking to them, they have things fall down, don't they, Luke, and bangs and knocks, because they live in a very haunted location. So keep your eyes peeled, because you may well see something. They often say, "Oh, what was that?" And that was a bang, and they often say that. So all being well, they should be on Monday Night Live with us on the 26th. I'm waiting for a confirmed date from the other paranormal group, so they're just going to give me a confirmed date. So we'll have them on as guest speakers. So exciting times forward. So I'd say if you have anything you want to ask the American Haunted Souls, Dan and Malone, I think her name is, come on, ask the question, ask them whatever you want to know. They will tell you, all very knowledgeable pair on the paranormal. As you know, paranormal is very big in America at the moment. It's huge. It's probably bigger than it is here in America. But they have more places. But they're very much interested in our castles and our battles, and where they don't have a lot of castles. But so they're interested in our castles and dungeons and things. So please send your questions in, and we'll ask them, and they'll answer. Or if you really want to come on live with us, sit on the panel and ask them questions. So ping us some message, and Angela will probably pick it up on South Coast Coast, or myself, or on Host Coast. Just ping a message, and come on and join us. It should be okay. It should be a good night actually, because they're quite a funny couple, as I say, very knowledgeable. So be interesting. So please do come along. Right, tonight we're talking about superstition and magic, believe it or not. So people have superstition where they won't walk under a ladder, or they won't go this way, they won't go that way. Myself, I tend to walk around the ladder and not under it. And now I'm not sure whether it's me that's done that, or whether my parents say, "Oh, you shouldn't walk under ladder; it's not good." So I'm not sure whether I have that superstition. But then I looked up, the top 8 superstitions of Friday the 13th. There's no umbrellas inside,
Yeah.
which is a strange one. Crossing your fingers. I've never heard that one. Make a wish on a wishbone.
Yeah. I've done that.
Knock on wood. Yeah, we tap on wood. We say, don't we? We say touch wood.
I did today.
Did you?
Yeah. I was talking to Andrew on the phone. I went touch wood. I said to her, I touched wood on my
That's
head.
right. I wonder why. I often wonder why we say that, touch wood.
Yeah. Well, we're sawdust in there, isn't there, really?
I wonder what the meaning of it is.
Yeah.
Why you'd say touch wood. I'm not sure on that. I'll have to look that up.
Luck, I think, if you don't do it, I think that's what I always thought with my family.
Well, I don't.
If I say something, I touch wood quickly.
I don't know much about the superstition. Obviously, 666 is another big superstitious number.
Yeah.
Careful with that mirror. Is number 7?
7 years. 7 years
Yeah.
bad luck is. Yeah, that's right.
And bad luck comes in threes.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah. Well, it's funny about deaths. Like deaths, they always say it always comes in threes. And in family, I have people when they die, and I used to always think to myself, if somebody died, I have one person go, then I used to think, oh, there's another one. There's going to be somebody else soon, and it would be. So it always go in threes, like you say. But with deaths, I always have somebody in the family be literally 3 of them. I'll be waiting for another one. That sounds awful, doesn't it? But you wait for another one. You just somebody, and it'll either be a cat or a dog or something. And you think, oh, that's the 3.
So what we need to do is avoid Paula for about a year, just in case.
You're right. I know you're sort of my family here, but you're not exactly personal family, so you're all right.
But myself, I don't. Other than the ladder, and I don't know much about superstition, to be honest with you. But I know that I won't walk under a ladder. But as I say, I'm not sure whether that's because I've heard that from my parents. As I was a child, oh, don't walk under that. Something, whatever happened to you. Obviously, the mirror, don't drop it because they say it's 7 years bad luck.
Yeah.
But obviously, I'm not sure about where the meaning of knock on wood, touch wood comes from. We seem to touch our heads or touch a wooden table. So I'm not quite sure where that superstition comes from. And obviously, that's all my superstitions, really. I don't think about, 666. I know it's a sign of the devil, but I wouldn't say that was one of my superstitions, but it may be someone else's, but not mine, and it's, why can't you open an umbrella inside a house? Why is that bad luck?
My family used to say that to me. My mum was very like that, and my gran. If I undone an umbrella in the house when it's, if it's raining from outside, you come in, don't you, and you shake it. Do you know what I mean, on the doorway? If I did that, or came in with the umbrella, they go, no, shouldn't have it up, blah, blah, and they just panic, and I go, what? But a lot of things have come from my family. That's a problem. See, it's like salt, right? If you have some salt and you have some left over, or if you knock some salt, you got to put over your left shoulder, because if you don't, it's bad luck.
Yeah, that's strange, isn't it? But
so if I need salt and I've got some left over, I literally got to go, oh crap, right, okay.
Do you think that's just your family, or is that you?
Yeah, I know it's what my family things that they've done. It must have gone into me from them, I assume.
Yeah.
The umbrella, yes. The ladder, people used to say to me, "Oh, don't go under it," like you say. I was, but I There was nobody up there. Do you know what I mean? No, come on. And they
Yeah.
moved me away from the ladder. Do you know what I mean? Away from it because I would go
Yeah.
under. But they
Yeah.
would say, no, because there might be somebody up there. And I think, well, there ain't nobody up there. Do you know what I mean?
It's strange, isn't it? You know,
Yeah.
how they get that superstition from their mum, their grandma, or whatever, and it brushes off on you, and you end up doing
Doing the same.
Yeah, but it's whether you believe it or not. You just do it. It's just one of the things. Just all right, I walk round the ladder, whether you believe the superstition or not.
Yeah. I have gone
Yeah.
up the ladder if there's nobody under it. If there's nothing up there, I've done that in the pub.
Yeah.
I've done it once, but I know, like with like Friday the 13th, I believed in that at one point, basically Friday the 13th, because I used to get a lot of bad luck. But then I think if you think too much into it, you do get bad luck, don't you? Because you're thinking
Yeah.
too much about it. And I just
Yeah,
think,
you can't.
so go on.
You
Sorry.
you can convince yourself, can't you?
Yeah.
You
I
know,
used to have a
like
bad day. I think go wrong and la la la, and I think, oh no, what day is it? And I go, oh no, it's Friday the 13th. That's why. And it's also Friday, isn't it? My friend was
yeah.
born on Friday the 13th years ago.
Oh
So that's
no.
bad luck for you. Friday the 13th it was.
Hi,
So they-
Christine. Good evening. Welcome.
oh, it's the
My mum
13th.
always told me never cross your knife and fork on the plate. Being a Catholic, something to do with the crucifix. Oh, I
Uh-huh.
never heard that one. I know my nan was a great believer in not crossing your knife and forks on the
Yeah.
table.
Yeah.
She was a
Mm.
great believer in that. I never actually knew why.
No.
You never sort of asked, did you, when your nan did it? Don't cross your knife and fork. You just put it straight and don't say anything, did you? Because my nan was a very stern lady. Obviously, you know, she grew up during the Second World War, and my granddad was an air raid warden and all that sort of thing. And it was very much traditional. Don't cross your knife and fork. Don't sit with your arms crossed. You know, all that type of stuff. You know, that's not good for you if you get your feet crossed.
Yeah.
You know, and you think, why? Why is that then? What? And you never had the guts to ask them really, because they would just you'd end up getting told off, I think.
No.
But I remember them saying, "Don't cross your knife and fork on the table." So that's a really good one. I've never heard it where it relates to the crucifix. That's a good,
Yeah.
a good message, that, Christine. But it's very interesting how people's interpretation of different types of superstition. You know, we heard it from your grand. Paul has heard it from someone else. How about you, Angela? What's your take on the superstitions?
I kind of have one. I don't know where I got it from. It's to do with like the walking under a ladder. I think I just made it up myself to sort of cancel out any potential bad luck from walking under a ladder. But when I do, I count to 7 because 7's
Oh,
supposed to be like a lucky number.
Hmm.
But then with scaffolding, I figured if it's a ladder, then it should apply to scaffolding as well. So if I walk under scaffolding, it's usually quite long. So then I count to 7 times. I don't know if
oh.
it makes a difference to anything, but it's just something I do. I
And
don't
where do you
really,
think they got that from, though?
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know
That's what I
about the
mean.
ladder bit, but the scaffolding, I just thought it's a similar
Yeah,
construction.
well, it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's something that you walk under
Yeah.
on a footpath, isn't it, or whatever? You're walking under it, so it's the same. Yeah, that's a. Yeah, I never heard that one before.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah,
but
but
the same.
I looked
I
up
always walk round the ladder rather than under it for some reason, but I
I
don't know
looked up
why.
knocking on wood, and there doesn't seem to be an agreement of where it's come from, but there's several theories,
Right.
and one of them goes back to ancient pagan cultures where they believed that spirits and gods resided in trees. So knocking on tree trunks might have served to rouse the spirits and call on their protection, but it could also be a way of showing gratitude for a stroke of good luck.
Huh.
And then another theory is that people knocked on wood to chase away evil spirits or prevent them from listening in when they boasted about their luck, thereby preventing a reversal of fortunes.
Hmm.
And then apparently Christians have often linked the practice to the wood of the cross from the crucifixion. But there's sort of various different suggestions, but there doesn't seem to be an agreement of where it actually came from.
Well, that's quite strange, isn't it? And yet, I
Yeah.
bet the majority of humans, I suppose, would do it when they say all touch wood.
Yeah.
You know, not knock on wood a couple of times, but it's strange, isn't it, how that's come down over hundreds of generations, and yet it's still going in the modern world, isn't it? People say all touch wood. So it's a superstition that's never really died off, is it?
No.
Like they say 13's a really unlucky number.
Yeah.
And like I think it's the Chinese or Japanese never use 13 in any of their on their cars. You don't get a 13 mil nut, you only get 11 or a 12 or a 14, but never a 13, because their 13 is very superstitious for them.
Yeah.
So that's how I know from their cars. I think their culture, they don't use the number 13.
Yeah. And I remember when I went into hospital to have Jack, they had all the different suites were numbered, and they didn't have a number 13. So Jack was born in suite 12A because they didn't have a 13.
And they didn't have a 13.
No.
That's what I mean. You know, how does that? 13 is just just another number.
Yeah, but I find it's like customers in our place. If it's Friday the 13th, nobody will book in. It's really weird.
Really?
As soon as I say there's a Friday the 13th available, they goes, "That's all right. I'll move. I don't want to go on that day. Give me another day." And I'm like, "But it's free." But people don't want to be booked in on the Friday the 13th. That's so weird. So they must have superstitions as well about it that day. So it's going to go wrong.
It just shows you how deep the superstition goes in our makeup as humans, doesn't it? How we believe that, you know, Friday the 13th. I know probably Luke knows, like, horror films, you know, Freddy the whatever, is it Freddy or something? Luke, is Friday the 13th?
Yeah.
Jason, yeah.
You know, is it because people relate to that? Is Friday the 13th? Oh, that's got to be something bad, or is it somewhere more deep rooted in our human culture as we've been coming along, that we think the number 13 is, oh, that's a bad number, you know? And they were discussing that when number plates were being made for 2013, whether they should skip it to 2014 and not have 2013 plates. There was a big manufacturers conference. You know, people saying we would never buy a car with 13 on it. So they were wondering whether they should change it 12 to 14, but they did keep it in the end eventually, because obviously if they'd have jumped a year, then it would have put everything wrong. Because what year do you put on a 2013 car? You can't go 2014. That makes it a year younger. So you know, I think it was quite a difficult time for the manufacturers to look at the number 13. So I know a lot of Chinese and Japanese cars don't have 13 mil bolts or nuts. They have like 12 or 14. And like their motorbikes are always 12 and 14, never 13s, because they feel that it's a very unlucky number. What about you, Luke? What superstitions do you have, mate?
Yeah, the magpies, like 1 for sorrow and 2 for joy.
Oh, yeah.
I see it. I think of that when I see magpies. Yeah.
Because if I see one, I always go never, 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 never. When I see one, because 1 for sorrow is you say never, 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 never.
Yeah,
That's what I do.
Yeah.
I say never, never, never. Julia's put, when they built new houses in the road my parents lived, they called house 13 number 14.
Oh.
And that's on a house. Hi, Julia, welcome. Hope you get well soon. You know, we're all rooting for you. Get well soon, girl. And you can cook us that chicken dinner anytime you like. We don't mind that. That's very tasty. But even if you think about it, Ian 14. Hi, Ian. Good evening. Welcome. Cars with the number plate 666 are more likely to have an accident. You know, it's very strange. And you say 666, the sign of the devil.
Yes, correct.
You know, and it's like Ian saying there, and that's a good comment, Ian. Thank you for sending that in. You know, 666 are more liable to have accidents. Why is that, though? You know, and you've got to ask yourself, you know, why are we so adamant 666 is such a bad number? You know, if you saw the time if you saw something 666, do you think, oh, I'd avoid that, I'll go the other way round? But you probably wouldn't.
No.
Yeah.
But I know it's very much associated with the devil, isn't it? 666.
I do see quite a few different cars with 666 on or 999. Funny enough. Around. I see them either one way or the other, and I think, oh, but I don't find it bad luck. I just think, oh, that's a good number. Yeah, 666.
Yeah.
Carry on. Do you know what I mean?
But there's one that comes into our place for a service, and it's 666 hell, HEL.
Oh God, that's a good one.
And there's a couple of guys there who refuse to work on it.
Oh.
Oh.
So whether you call that superstition or not, they say, I'm not working on that, not with that number and that. And it is 666 hell,
Yeah.
HEL.
God.
Well, I find very strange. The guy that owns the car is really nice, a lovely bloke, but it's just his lucky number and his name.
Yeah.
So, but yet they'll say, oh, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not working on that. That's bad luck, that car.
We've had
and
cars with 666 and we don't think they can cover it to carry on.
yeah,
To really nothing of it.
and it's quite strange, isn't it, how numbers affect some people more than others. Ian's put, but then again, the sort of person who would have a 666 in their number plate are more likely to be an erratic driver.
Could be.
Possibly.
Maybe not.
What makes you think that, Ian? Send a comment back in. What makes you think there would be more of an erratic driver because they got the 666? Do you think they know the meaning of it? Magpies for Julia. Yeah, Luke was saying about magpies.
Yeah.
Julia, send a comment in. If you see one magpie, do you say anything or you just avoid contact? Because when I see one, I go never, 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 never. Like, because one for sorrow, you go never, never. I'm never going to be sorrow. Never, 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 never. And I say it like 10 times. And then suddenly I see a second one appear.
Yeah, if I see two,
thank you.
Think, oh God, there's death.
That's
what I was told by my parents. If you see one, do you know what I mean? I know. I think it's if you only see one, isn't it? It's not good. If you see two, it's good. Basically, or vice versa.
Yeah, one for sorrow, two for joy, innit? Three for a boy and whatever.
Three for girl.
I always used to see two, and I think, oh, here we go. Do you mean? You see one, and you're looking for another. Do you mean? Because don't you?
But
see one on its own.
Julia's put, she salutes it. Then I say, good morning, Mr. Magpie. I hope your family are well.
Yeah.
So it's strange, isn't it? How you get these superstitions when you see a magpie, you think, oh, and I go never, never, never. Julia says, good morning, how's your family? What do you do, Luke, if you see one? How do you do that?
I don't know, just look at it and just think in my head, I don't know. And
what are you actually thinking when you see it?
I just think something bad's going to happen, or wonder what's going to happen now. But then sometimes another one flies next to it.
Yeah.
Not sure what that means. Yeah.
Two for joy, isn't it? Because I always say, because we get a lot of them around here, and I see one, and I'll go never, never, never in my head. And when I look back, there'd be two of them standing there.
Yeah.
And I say, thank you. Yeah, two for joy. I'll have that. One, never, 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 never going to be sorrow. Never, 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 never. 10 times I say it. It sounds mad, doesn't it? When you're actually saying it, you think, oh, okay. So
it's come from somewhere, though, isn't it? That's the thing while you're saying it. But where do you get yours from? Is it something in the family, or is it something you've always done?
Do you know what? I don't actually know. That's a good question. I think a friend of mine used to say, oh, yeah, when I see a single magpie, I always say never, never, never. So whether I've subconsciously picked it up from her and not actually realised that I do it, that I actually say it, and some people say, when you see a white feather land in your garden or in the house or whatever, it's a message from spirit, but you could see feathers all the time, but why that one specific feather? And you'll look at it and you will relate to it, won't you? You will sort of make contact. You think, oh, it's a message from spirit, that type of contact. I don't know what's anybody else's take on feathers.
I was just reading up about magpies then.
Oh, right.
It says in ancient Rome, the magpie was associated with magic and fortune telling. While in Scandinavia, some witches rode magpies or turned into them.
Ah.
Oh,
Yeah.
so that must be where it comes from then. One for sorrow, two for joy.
Yeah.
Maybe three for a witch, four for a boy.
It's funny because you remember, do you know, like dandelions and things like that? My parents said never pick dandelions because you're going to wet yourself. And I
Oh
used
yeah.
to believe
Oh,
years
right.
ago.
That one now. Yeah.
I don't know if you remember
I
that
never
ad.
heard that one.
I used to remember years ago.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember that one. Yeah.
yeah. I used to say don't pick it.
Again, you know, where does that superstition come from?
So my mum said it. Maybe
Yeah.
she trying to stop me picking them in the first place and blowing them, so I don't spend all the seeds everywhere. Probably, I don't know.
It's like Julia's put. See a penny, pick it up throughout the day. You'll have good luck.
Yes, I used to do that as well. I still do that.
Really?
Yeah, I do that.
I found a 5p the other day and I said, "Yeah, William, wish you good luck." That's what I said to him. I used to give it to him. Yeah, I still do that. Yeah, she's right.
Did it? I think this must all come down from your parents or your grandparents, or mustn't it? It must come down through the family, the generations, and yet, you know, we're in, you know, the 20s, 2000, and all of that, and yet we still drop back onto these hundreds of years, if not thousands of year old superstitions. Touch wood, knock on wood. White feather sent from the loved one. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
You know, suddenly I've also had, you know, where you've been a little bit down and a bit fed up or whatever, and then suddenly a white feather comes floating down past you.
Yeah.
You know, and you think, oh, okay, thank you for that. You know, and pennies are also for loved ones apparently. Oh, right. But I know feathers are from spirit, you know.
Another thing as well, what people used to do as well, if you buy a bag to give as a present to somebody, or purse, actually it's a purse, actually, being truthful, you always put a coin inside to give it to them. That's supposed to give them good luck.
Okay. Christine's put black cat crossing your path, not sure if it's good or bad luck. I've heard that about black cats.
It's bad luck, didn't they, sometimes? And some people say it varies on people. Yeah.
But I suppose it varies on people's beliefs, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Really, whether you believe in, you know, all of that. I don't know, really. It's a very strange subject, isn't it? Superstition. You know, there's lots of it out there, and it's people's interpretation of it, isn't it?
Well, they did say basically is that there was a lot of cats basically. Was in you know, the RSPCA and anything else were given up basically because people didn't want to have black cats.
Yeah.
So a lot of them end up going to the RSPCA because people had bought them and they thought because it's bad luck they got rid of them. So there's a lot. If you find in the RSPCA, you will find a majority black cats in the RSPCA because people don't want them. It's bad, isn't it? Really.
Strange. And yet, you know, black cats associated with witches.
Yes, correct.
Well, I
Yes.
think that's why
I think that's why. That's why the class.
Why is that though? Why, you know, did they only have black cats in them days?
Well, it's funny. It's funny. Years ago, when I was younger, we went to the forest not far from us here, basically. I was only about, I don't know, 10, something like that, probably. And I was in the back of the car, and we went into the forest. I remember stepping in, and then suddenly I saw something funny rushing through the bushes like this, and it jumped at me. And it was a black cat. Stabbed its claws in me, right? And I was like, Christ, what's that? Get off there. Well, I reckon that's the thing. It was a black cat. Somebody dumped it in there. See, so maybe that was superstition. You don't know, but it was lucky for him. We called him Primrose because we were looking for primroses that day to see him. But we called it Primrose, and then we found it was a boy, so we had to call him Boy George.
I'm sure you appreciate that.
Yeah, we called it Primrose for a while because we didn't know what to do with it. Couldn't leave it there in the forest because the fox would have got it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then we end up keeping it, but the claws were so bloody sharp because it must have been indoors from somewhere. But it was only young.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, yeah. Another thing, somebody got rid of it, probably superstition, maybe got rid of it, didn't want it. It was black. It was good luck to us.
And like you see the paintings and photos and that of witches, they always got a black cat on their broomstick.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, and the broomsticks for witches were really the women that used to sweep the yards. But as you know, when they started to have the witch trials, they associated that the women would have their broomsticks to move around on, which was never true, is it? Well, as far as we know, were never true. You know, and I find it strange, and then superstitious or kind of black cat's a witch's cat, and it's very odd. And there's a village down in the New Forest called Burley, and that's a witch's village. There's witches shops there. You could buy potions and all of that. So if you think in modern day, you have dark witches and you have white witches, don't you? Which are good and bad witches, and yet I don't know how the cat's got associated with a black cat's associated with a witch. I'm not sure whether that's just a superstition someone saw maybe 100 years ago, some woman with a black cat, and they just assume that witches had black cats. I don't know. Some people say they're unlucky cats, but I don't know. I'm not a cat lover, so I wouldn't know. But I don't know. What about you, Luke? What's your take on it?
They can be both good and bad, I reckon. Depends on the person, I reckon, what they believe.
It's quite deep rooted, isn't it? Really, it's what people's beliefs are, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
It's whether you believe in superstition or not. So like we were saying earlier, like Andrew was saying, say it 10 times walking under scaffolding, or you'll rather walk round the ladder than under it. But that's not your own belief. That's what you've been told not to do.
Yeah.
So in your own belief, would you have walked under a ladder and not batted an eyelid? It's a very old superstition, isn't it?
Yeah.
But,
Apparently, black cats are considered lucky in many cultures. In Scotland, it's lucky for a strange black cat to arrive at your doorstep. In Japan, black cats are thought to help single women find suitors. And in Welsh folklore, black cats would bring luck to a home and could even be a reliable weather predictor.
Oh,
Sure how that works. Yeah.
But if you think back to the Egyptian times,
yeah.
a lot of their stuff was black, wasn't it? They'd have their black. I can't think. It escapes me now. The names, the big tall cats with the big pointy ears. They called them.
Sphinx.
Yeah, something like. And they were the guardians of the tombs, weren't they? But they were black cats.
Yeah, that's right. They were.
And and that coming through from thousands of years ago with the Egyptians, and most of their sphinx or whatever they were called were black with the gold rings. Were supposed to be the tomb protectors.
Yeah.
And yet you think it's very rare to see a black panther now or a black cat out in the wild. I know there is sightings of them in Devon and places like that, but you sort of see. You don't see. I don't know whether you see so many black cats now as you do tortoise shells or white or grey or Persian, or whether you still see lots of black cat. I don't know. So I'm never really looking out for cats, to be honest.
I've got two by me. I've got a black and white over the back, and then I've got more black, and she's got like white paws, and then I've got one next door now, black and white cat. So yeah.
Right.
So yeah, there's only two. There's two by near me. Do you know what I mean? So
I think cats were very big in Egypt at the time. They were very much into the cats. What I know of it, obviously, if you researched into it, you'd find out a lot more in-depth stuff. But I know the cats and the Sphinx and the black was very much to do with protection. So whether that's come right through, and that's why some people believe in black cats. Some are lucky, some are unlucky. Some, or they're just a cat that's black. It just happened to be black. It's how deep the superstition goes, really, isn't it? How much you believe. I say my grandparents were very big, very superstitious. Touch wood. Don't cross your knife and fork. Don't go under there. Don't do that. That's bad. That's that. Don't break a mirror because that's 7 years bad luck. Why breaking a mirror is 7 years bad luck?
Yeah.
You drop a glass, a cup, or saucer or something on the floor. You don't say, "Oh no, that's 10 years bad luck now because I dropped a cup."
No.
But why a mirror?
Yeah, I know.
And you try and look into it like that, and you think, "Well, how does that make sense?" But if I drop a cup or a plate and smash it, there's no bad luck in that. It's just unlucky you dropped it. But if you break a mirror, why is the difference in the mirror different to a plate, a cup, a glass, even a glass. If you're having a beer or a drink or whatever, you drop the glass. You don't think of, oh no, that's 7 years bad luck. You just think, oh well, that's bad luck on the pub because they've just lost another glass. That's not.
The superstition could stem from the idea that a mirror gives us a look at ourselves and ultimately our souls. Breaking the mirror could break a soul.
Oh,
Oh, there you go. Thanks, Angela. But just don't break any mirrors, anybody out there watching
I
this
have
tonight.
done in the past, and I used to go, "Oh no, I'm gonna have 7 years bad luck now." I did believe it at first. It means sometimes you do, don't you? You think, "Oh no," because it's wherever it's come from your family. You just believe what they say, and you think, "Oh no." And even Justin says it to me. Oh Christ, that's 7 years now. Do you know what I mean? He say to me as well.
But did you have 7 years bad luck?
No.
I
have a
it
few
just shows
days bad luck sometimes.
Yeah, you do. You think, sometimes, you have bad luck. You think, oh, I must have pooed on a black cat or done something wrong somewhere, haven't I, to have this run of bad luck? But I think it's just in general, we have a run of bad luck anyway, don't we? But we seem to tie it with something, like doing on a cat or dropping a mirror or we've done something wrong that's caused us to have bad luck. Not that it's a cycle of where there's good luck, there's always going to be bad luck, isn't there? It's like when there's positive energy, there's always going to be negative energy. It's like the ley lines. If you've got positive ley lines, you're always going to have negative ley lines. You've always got to have the same to keep the balance. Yeah. So what you have with one, you need with the other. It's just a very strange subject, really. And and when you look at it, make a wish on a wishbone.
Yeah, I've done that. Break it, don't you? And whoever gets who gets the bigger bit is the one to do the wish. I don't know if that's true, is it? Yeah.
And it's always, and also it's if you see a shooting star, isn't it?
Yes.
Make a wish.
Yes.
That comes into my mind. And that again, where does that stem from? But when you see it, you do it, don't you?
Yeah.
You make that wish, and whether that wish, I always like to think the wish will come true at some stage. It will do. If you put it out to the universe, they'll work on it. At some stage, it will come back to you. And it's like what Jen says: what's meant for you won't pass you by.
Yeah.
And I think that's a very good saying, really. And they say, didn't they put it out onto the universe and let them work on it? So all these make a wish on a star and all of this. I do quite. I know it's. I don't know, but it's traditional, isn't it? You see a shooting star and you make that wish and that type of stuff. Bad luck comes in threes.
Correct. Yeah.
Does it come in three, or is it just a really bad unlucky run?
I think sometimes you think though, don't you? If you do get one bad luck, you're always waiting for the other two. I don't know why you're thinking, oh God, we're going to have another two this day or next day. You just think about it and you think, well, you got the three. This is where the same like I said with deaths, isn't it? Threes. Maybe that's the same thing. It's three again, isn't it? It's weird, it's three, but you think in your head it's three. And when they're all done, basically with like you say, the bad luck, you think, thank God for that, and you take a deep breath. It's
But
weird
then
though, isn't it? I think like that.
It is strange, isn't it? How you think like that, because you obviously your grandparents or your mum, your dad, whatever, have had that superstition as they've grown up, and it sort of imprints in your mind, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And you think, oh, something's gone wrong. What's going to happen next? And that's what we all say, isn't it? What's going to happen next? And that's again down to that superstition, isn't it? You think, well, okay, if it comes in threes, what's coming next? But it's not necessarily anything happens.
No.
It happens to once and nothing else happens. You think, well, but then you don't think, oh, well, the other two haven't happened, do you? You just carry on because.
I do sometimes. It's
How
weird
do you?
yeah, I think about it quite a lot. If it's like happens one thing happens one day, that day, I think to say, I could be walking down the road, I'd trip over for, oh, here we go, that's the second thing. And then I'll go and do something else. And later on in the day, I might drop something. And I thought, oh, that's the third thing. Great, that's done. But
I don't think of it like that.
Yeah, I do. It's weird. It's not like I think straight away about it. It's just when it happens one thing, I'm thinking, oh, straight away, if I do something happens the first thing, I think, oh, when's the two other things in my head? and then I carry on out with my day, and then something else happens. I think, oh, that's 2, right? Okay, and I carry on doing, and then there'd be the 3rd, and then after that, I think, thank God for that, it's 3. Do you know what I mean? So
And,
that's what
and
you
it's, and, you know, it's like when something goes wrong, you say, "Oh, what else is going to go wrong?"
yeah,
Is that you wishing
Yeah.
something to go wrong? You know, what else is going to go wrong?
mm,
You know, is that you wishing for something else to go wrong, or like you say, Paula, whether you're a true believer in things comes in threes?
yeah,
You know, okay, what else is going to happen today? You know, and like you say, you're looking for that 3rd occurrence of something dropping something or whatever happens. You think, right, that's it now. That's all my bad luck gone. Go away. Don't ever come back.
Well, it's funny because years ago when Justin's dad passed away, I used to have a bit of banter with him, and we always used to have banter, and we got on quite well. But sometimes we have a little bit of friction sometimes. And when he passed away, worst thing for me is that he picked on me. I had a pen in my hand and it flew out of my hand. Then I ended up walking. I fell over, tripped over, like he tripped me up. It was happening different things, 3 things, and then it go. It's like, Christ's sake, what's going on? And Justin it's highly hilarious. He went, "That's my dad doing that to you," and he would do it in 3s. It wouldn't be 4 things. It'd be one thing after another. I'd be like, "Oh Christ," do you know what I mean? But that's when he died. He did this to me, like to get me back, I think, and then it was fine. So unless he's leaving it with me now and then, has a little fun. I don't know.
Yeah, have a little bit of a chuckle. Right,
Yeah.
Ryan. Hi, Ryan. Good evening. Welcome. He's put Romans thought mirrors were a reflection on the soul, so breaking it seen as harming the soul and inviting misfortune.
Oh,
You know, so there's lots of explanations about breaking mirrors, isn't there? What people believe. You know, 7 years bad luck. You know, why 7 years?
Yeah.
Julia's put left itchy hand money in right, itchy hand money out.
yeah, correct.
Yeah, and then, you know, another superstition, isn't it? In one hand, out the other, isn't it?
Yeah.
That saying comes in one hand, it's gone out the other. You know, where does that saying come from? And we all say it, didn't we? Oh, it's in one hand and gone out the other,
Yeah.
but never really think where that's come from.
Mm.
You know, and it's also like crossing your fingers.
Yeah, I do that for good luck and bad luck. Yeah. So good luck
But
to you. That's what I say to people.
where does that come from? Crossing your fingers. What's that going to do?
I know.
It's supposed to be like another crucifix type thing,
Oh, is
but
it?
it doesn't quite
All
work.
right.
They say, don't
Well,
you? If you put 2 behind your back is bad luck because you don't want somebody you don't want them to get true whatever luck. You know,
Oh
I
yeah.
think when you go like that, really, it's for people's good luck. But if you don't want to have them good luck, you're supposed to put them behind your back.
all right.
For better, so not wishing them luck.
Yeah.
That's another thing that somebody told. I don't know who told me that, but that's what they used to do.
It's strange, isn't it? How we remember all these things.
Yeah.
There's some things you forget. You think, oh yeah, and other
Yeah.
things you can't forget, like crossing your fingers behind your back and putting them in front, or we've got everything crossed for you. You know,
Exactly.
so you sort of relate to the crossed fingers as having good luck and not wishing any bad luck type of stuff, isn't it? You know, and it's like, you know, like we're saying, crossing your fingers, Friday the 13th. You know, why is that such a superstitious day of the week for lots of people? You know, why is the number 13 superstitious?
It's got 3 in it as well. Don't forget, it's got 3 again.
Yeah, like the triangle,
Yeah, exactly. The 3
comes in
pyramids.
threes. Yeah,
Pyramid, isn't it?
yeah. The things come in threes, doesn't it? You know, it's three sided, isn't it? All 3 points.
Freeze a crowd, don't they say?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
It's
But
true.
there's a lot beyond that number, isn't there?
Yeah.
But then you know, a lot of spiritual stuff, they say three is a good number for power. You know, to go 3 is always a good number. And yet some people say 3 is bad luck.
What's people's lucky numbers then on this panel then? So what's yours, Andrea? Lucky number?
I don't know if I have one. I know Darren's was 3 and 33 and lots of 3s, but yeah, I don't think I have one.
But you, Paul?
10.
Oh, why 10? Do you know?
Because do you know what? I don't actually know, but it's always been a lucky number for me. Anything got 10 in it, I've always had good luck. when I was playing football, I was number 10, and when I was riding motocross, I was number 10.
Ah,
And
that's
it,
where it's
you
come
know, and I
from.
always associate that. Mark put 666. You know,
Mm.
is that a good number? Is that a bad number? Did someone just hear a whistle? No. Did you hear anything? Anybody?
No.
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 Julie, what part? We'll have to wind back and have a listen, because
Yeah.
sometimes we've had this before when we've been on here.
Yeah.
Someone talking, like a woman talking in the background. Ryan's put spilling salt is a superstition,
Yeah.
and that's what
I
Paula
would
was
say my
saying
left shoulder.
about
Yeah.
throwing it over. Is it
Yeah.
over your left shoulder, isn't it, or
Yes,
your right
correct.
shoulder?
Left.
You know,
Yeah.
why over your left shoulder? Is that the shoulder that the devils were looking?
I don't know. It's always something else my family told me to do. To put over my left shoulder. You spill anything. Do you mean? Oh. As long as nobody's behind you, they go in their eyes, won't it?
Christine's put my favourite 3 at 33 is a Masonic number. All right.
I have heard that as well at some points. I don't know where, but yeah, 3-3. Yeah.
I wonder why that's the Masonic number then.
Oh, there's 3
There's
people
3
watching.
people
There you go.
watching.
That's weird as well.
That's
We need
threes tonight,
33
isn't
now.
it?
We need
Three's-
33, don't we?
Yeah.
Watching.
Three's the number for tonight then, isn't it?
Must be lucky for us tonight then.
So,
How about you, Luke? What number what's your lucky number, Luke?
Probably number 7, maybe. It's
That's
just
a good number.
makes you feel comfortable and that everything's okay. It makes you feel that's yeah,
hi, good evening, Graham. Welcome.
safe number, I think.
Graham, we're talking about superstition and magic tonight. So if you've got anything superstition or magic, Ryan's put Julie's hearing things, put the wine down low.
Bless her.
So yours is number 7, Luke, yeah?
Yeah, it just makes me feel comfortable, like everything's okay. Like a comfort number.
And do you see that on a lot of things like 777, or do you see it as a triple number or a singular number? Does it show itself a lot to you?
No, it's actually 222. Actually, more than 2. Actually, I think.
Is it 222?
Yeah.
And have you ever looked that up on the angel numbers? Christine's put Jesus Christ was mentioned in the Bible 33 times. So he was 33 when he was crucified.
Oh.
So it's quite a significant number, isn't it? 3
Yeah.
in the 33 in the doubles, isn't it? There's probably angel numbers for 33, like 222. Have you ever looked it up, Luke? The angel meaning of numbers?
Yeah, it's like positive change and stuff happening in your life, I think.
Yeah.
Good.
I think 555, Jen will know, is major changes.
Yeah, I see that one as well quite a lot.
Do you? In the 555s?
Yeah.
I think
yeah,
in the angel numbers, that means, you know, changes are coming. Julie's put, Mark, happy birthday today. Happy birthday, Mark.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday.
21 again. You get to my age, you can start counting backwards. You can't go past that number. I'm not going to say that number. I just count backwards now. I never thought numbers would go that high.
It's funny because my mum's house was 33. I lived there for quite a few years, and I got 3 in my number now, and my mother-in-law has got 3 in it. And
Just shows you, doesn't it?
And it's weird thing is, when my last house, that was 23 as well, basically. So yeah, it's got 3. So it's not like I chose them; it's just rented one of them. This one, we got married, so that's my husband's house. Do you know what I mean? That's what 3. It's weird, isn't it? How they've ended up being 3s.
It's like my phone number's got 3 sets of 7s.
Ah, wow.
Luke was saying about 7, but it has 3 sets of 7s in it. Graham Bentley, don't avoid walking under a ladder or you may get run over by a bus. Graham. Yeah, you step out into the bus lane avoiding the ladder.
Yeah.
But is that unlucky or is that just fortune?
Get free lift.
Well, yeah, to the next bus stop when you slide off the front.
Yeah. Or to the hospital.
So the other subject we were going to talk about was magic.
Yeah.
Now I know Angela's quite interested in this stuff. And I know, magic comes from hundreds and hundreds of years ago. They would use it, during Henry VIII, as and I think the astrology, when it was started hundreds of years ago, they would class astrology as magic, because they would have these philosophers, wouldn't they, that would tell them, the moon phases and things like that, so they would know when to go to battle, because they would know by the moon phases, and they would call that, how the magic gives them the moon phases. But it's not actually magic; it's something that evolves on the moon phases anyway, isn't it?
Mm.
What's your take on it, Angela?
I don't know really. I just find it interesting how, like, thinking more about like witches' magic, where it wasn't actually anything sort of like weird or that only they could do. It's more like using herbs to create like potions and tinctures and stuff, and people thought of that as magic, just where it worked, and it's like not something you'd expect to work, with like making a potion out of some herbs or something. But that's what I find interesting. And I don't know if you would say like crystals are sort of part of magic, but where they all have like their different vibrations, and they can be used for healing and all other different things. That's sort of kind of magic. But
Yeah.
I do actually have like a magic wand with a crystal on the end of it, but
All
I haven't
right.
actually used it for anything. It just looks pretty.
What about you, Luke? What's your take on magic?
I've heard some people, if some people are like upset with someone, they can like curse people with magic as well. Heard about that.
Right.
They use spells to curse people who treat them badly, I think.
Julius, but I was chatting to Angela earlier about yarrow.
Yeah, I'm over the common next to us. There's lots of like wild flowers and stuff. And a few years ago, we went round foraging for yarrow, because I found that you could make a tincture out of it, and that's good for like helping with colds. So whenever I start getting a cold, I take a few drops of this yarrow tincture for a couple of days, and it doesn't seem to progress, and it just sort of gets better rather than getting worse. So that's my little bit of magic that I do.
They do say there's a cure in Mother Nature, don't they, for everything?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And you believe that, didn't you, with these herbs and potions and things that these people put together? The Chinese are very much into that, aren't they? The magic of the herbs and all of that type of stuff. They're very much into Mother Nature, aren't they? Graham's put the best magic I've ever seen is that a lemon appearing in a glass. Little coat, totally unexplainable. But was that a show, Graham, or was that just it appeared? Best magic I'd seen is when the lemon appearing in a glass. That little coat. Was you actually there that night then, Graham, when it appeared? The other thing that always amazes me is the guy called Dynamo.
Oh yeah.
The magician Dynamo.
Yeah.
Some of the tricks he does. Julia's put one of our ghost hunts years ago. But I've watched, I know he's a magician, and I don't know. Some of the tricks that he's done have just been mind blowing.
Yeah.
Is it the art of distraction? Magic trick is an art of distraction, or is it these people do or can do? Some of the things I'd seen him do, he can't explain it. It's like walking on the Thames.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. That was really good.
How?
Yeah,
How can he do that? And I saw him where he was at a party and he walked through the glass.
Oh yeah.
And he appeared outside the glass. How? Is it really that set up that you're totally convinced that what he's doing is magic, or is it, like we say, the art of distraction? Isn't it? And it's like that film, isn't it? Now You See Me. Ryan's put, would you say fairies are real? That's a good question. I think I totally believe in it, what they call elementals, which are Mother Nature's protectors, to be honest, Ryan. So I'm very much, and I know Jem believes in fairies because in next Saturday in Burley there's the Fairy Fest
Oh, right.
in Burley. So if anybody on here is interested, get down there. It's a very interesting fate, I suppose, a fair. You know,
Yeah.
have psychics there, have bands, and it's a lot to do with Mother Nature. You know, they walk around in bare feet because it gives them the fully
Yes.
contact with Mother Nature. And I know they're very, very much into fairies. There's hence why it's called Fairy Fest. But it's in Burley in the New Forest. And I think they have one in up this way somewhere. I'm not quite sure what's it called. Somewhere up this way. But the one of the biggest ones is in Burley in the New Forest. And that's on this Saturday because we're taking the grandchildren to it. They love it because a lot of people dress up in fairies, and but the belief in fairies is surprisingly widespread. Sorry. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I say I believe in elementals, so why wouldn't I believe in fairies? Because I've not seen one doesn't mean to say I don't believe in them. I've never seen one. Jen's said she saw fairies when she was a child in the garden, but then that's not to say that they are real. You know, people talk about fairies, and the thing is it Tinkerbell was a fairy, wasn't she? From
Yeah.
them, but I'm a big believer in the elementals, the Mother Nature's protectors. You cut down a tree or you do something wrong to Mother Nature, they come with a vengeance and can cause you all sorts of quite big issues. So
When I was little, I remember, those dandelions that you blow,
yeah,
the seeds go everywhere. I think it must be my nan told me that they were fairies. I remember being in the garden one day and I was blowing it and it was going everywhere. And then one bit went in my mouth and I started panicking, thinking that I'd eaten a fairy.
Oh.
Oh no, I've eaten a fairy.
But Andrew, did you remember them? I don't know if you see them around. Them things I see them now and then, not all the time. They look like they would say you blow in basically the white stuff, the little like umbrellas. They look like, don't they? You can see these white ones normally, basically, which are bigger, about that big, I suppose, and they're like little. They look like well, they're round, but they're thin, basically, but they float.
Oh,
And I was always told that that was a fairy, basically. If you catch it, the fairy gives you good luck. That's what I was told years ago.
I
And
never
funny,
heard of that.
at the garden, and I was out there yesterday and I saw it and I thought, oh, sad, isn't it, really? But I saw it and I thought, oh, that gives me good luck. But I don't see them that often. Just now, I haven't seen one for years, and that's the first time I've seen one for a long time. It's really weird. I'll just catch one day and I'll just show you guys what I'm on about.
It's my fairy.
Yeah.
No, I never heard of that one.
Yeah.
Graham's put doing glass vigil with my wife and 2 group members, and this lemon reported into the glass from absolutely nowhere. Gobsmacked ain't the word. Well, I can imagine.
Wow.
It just suddenly appears out of nowhere. I mean, how do you explain that?
No.
It defies logic sometimes, doesn't it? And Ryan's put there was a show on telly called Haunted Scotland, and one of the old castles is said to be haunted by elementals.
Oh wow.
I've done a lot of study into elementals, and there's a very knowledgeable lady I've spoken to, and her name's Kate May, and she's very much into the fairies and the elemental side of it. Such an interesting lady, absolutely mind blowing about elementals. If you're ever stuck or want to know anything about them, that's the lady to ask. She is just so clever with it, and I was so when she was doing a talk on it, and I was just so engrossed and hearing about elementals, how they're protectors, and fairies become, or like the elementals, because they're good for the good, and the elementals and Mother Nature's protectors, and you're talking about the elementals, earth, wind, and fire, and water. So you're talking about the 4 elements, aren't you? So you have elementals for water, fire, wind, and earth. The 4 elements, and that's where the elementals come from. So it's a really interesting subject. I have here, I don't know whether Mark would be interested, if I can find it. I have here, Mark, I don't know whether it's anything to do with you, but bear with me. Isn't it funny? You find it and then you lose it. Right. Mark, I don't know whether you know anything about this. There's a National Trust property started off as a large Tudor manor in the 16th century, and just a century later, there was written records of a strange goings on. In 1765, Mary Ricketts and her family moved into Hinton Ampner, and perhaps fearing for her sanity, she kept a record of her experiences, doors heard slamming and at night. And once the family were happy, it wasn't their servants making a noise. They changed the locks in They changed the locks in case someone had gained entry, but the noises continued. On a few occasions, the servants reported seeing figures dressed in a drab-coloured coat. White kitchen staff saw a tall woman in a dark silk dress rush through the room, but the man kept coming in at the same time and saw nothing. Mary wrote about hearing the most loud, deep, tremendous noise, which seemed to rush and fall with infinite velocity and force on the lobby floor, followed by a shrill and then a dreadful shriek, repeated 3 and 4 times before the sound grew fainter and descended into the earth. And that's the Hinton Ampner Manor. Now, I wonder if the Ricketts, the Mary Ricketts, Mark would know anything about his history and his family, whether he could look into that and see whether that's something. And it just goes on about while her husband was away, Mary confided in her brother about what was happening. He and a friend decided to keep watch one night, and Mary heard the sound of a gunshot followed by groans as a person in agony or expiring, while her brother reported hearing an immense weight that seemed to fall through the ceiling to the floor. And in 1772, the family moved out, but the spooky going-ons apparently didn't stop. When the house was demolished in 1793 to make way for a Georgian manor, workmen discovered a box containing a small skull through which had belonged to a child, the product of an illicit love affair.
Oh.
Yeah, have a look at that, Mark, because it's spelled exactly the same as your name. And that's what sort of, when I saw it, I thought, oh, I wonder if that's something, if Mark would know something about that, or, but it's quite an interesting story, isn't it? And Mark, I found it in, I put in their haunted locations in Hampshire, and it came up with that one straight away, and they give out also Hurst Castle was deemed to be the most advanced military fortress in England when it was built in orders of Henry VIII during the 17th century, and was used as a prison. Amongst its inmates was Charles I, who was held before his execution. It's said that the ghost has been seen walking through the lookout post, but he's not only the spirit that haunts the fortress. It said monks haunt the narrow walkways, and in 2008, a man thought he filmed a ghost in the castle window.
Oh, wow.
And that's Hurst Castle. And I think, Angela, you said you've heard of that.
Yeah.
And it goes on, and Julia will know this one, it goes on about Wimmering Manor. And then it goes on about a place called the Eclipse, has a tragic story linked with ghostly sightings at the inn. But it's actually got a picture of Wimmering Manor.
Oh.
But they calling it the Eclipse Inn.
All
Oh.
So I'm not sure what that is. And it says in the 17th century, Dame Alice Liz walked through the building and spent her last night praying as she stepped out of an upper window of the Eclipse onto a hastily constructed scaffold where she was beheaded. She was the first martyr of the hanging Judge Jeffreys in his bloody eyes. And John Jeffreys, and I'll try and send it to Andrew and try and get a picture on here. I did the old Brighton police cells many, many, many years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So they're actually the old Brighton police cells are under what is the Brighton Town Hall. So it's the museum. You can go in, and we did a paranormal night there when we was with Surrey Paranormal. Very active night. Anyway, it's on 3 floors, so you've got like the cells on the ground floor. The middle floor is where you would have bought in, and then the upper floor was the judges' chambers. So we'd done all the food, and we went up to the top floor, and we were doing like planchettes and writing stuff. And I was standing because the seats, they still use it as a council chamber now. So the seats are half moon shaped.
Okay.
And when I first went in there, they had the hammer on the top of the counter, and I put it to the left. Because they're saying, "Oh, things often move." I've done this too. Creepy cells in Great Courtroom. Yeah, it is really creepy. It is unreal. But we moved the hammer from as you walked in, it was on the right hand side of the bench. We put it on the left because they often said, "Oh, things move." We thought, "Oh, okay, we'll have a trigger object." So we moved it. And then the room was locked, so nobody go in there. So we'd all go in as one. Anyway, we went in there, and the hammer was moved back to the right, and yet we know that room was locked. So it gone from the left to the right, and that's the time when you wish you had a lock-off camera. Anyway, we were standing there with one of the other investigators, myself and a guy called Mark, and I don't know whether he watches this, but we were standing there and we heard like what can only describe like a dog growl. And I looked at him and he looked at me and said, "Do you hear that dog?" And I'm like, "Well, there ain't no dogs." And we sort of walked down the pew and I thought, how strange. And then as I looked up and they were doing the writing planchette, and I've got a picture of it, and I'll try and get it posted on here and you'll see it. The room seemed to be two different colours. So it was half sort of light colour, half dark, like normal colour. It's hard to explain it. So I thought I'd get my camera out on my phone and just take a few pictures like you do. And then, you know, the face recognition box, the yellow box that moves around that highlights people's faces.
Yeah.
So I had that on and it was moving around. It just kept moving. It couldn't sort of settle, but it was moving around with nobody there. And I thought, well, that's odd. What's it trying to do? And I'm holding it still. And then it went to the top of the screen and the camera went off, like took a picture. And I thought, well, why is he taking a picture up there then? And then didn't think much of it, sort of looked back for, oh, I don't know. And it took a picture of the light and the roof, on the roof. So when I zoomed in, and sure enough, to the right hand side of it is this Judge Jeffries, the hanging judge. He was well known there for the hanging judge. And it's a picture of him. You can see his face in the picture.
Yeah.
If you had a camera set up, it would. That's probably very true, Graham. It probably wouldn't have moved, would it? If you'd have set the camera up with your fingers crossed, because that's how it works, isn't it? When you're not looking, something happens. When you're looking, nothing happens.
Yeah.
But remind me to show you. Have you seen that picture, Angela and Paula? I think Luke's. You've seen it, haven't you, Luke? You know the picture where the face is up on the ceiling, looking down.
Can't remember that.
Remind me when we see each other, and I'll show you it. I've got it on my phone. So you can actually see him looking from the light downwards. You actually see his face.
Cool.
And yet I put it in black and white. And when you sort of put it in black and white, it gives you better definition in the picture. And you can see the breastplate with the regalia on it as well. But you can't see that in the colour. But you can see it in the black and white. I'll show you. Next time we get together, remind me. And I'll show you the picture and see what you think. But you actually see the wig. The wig he's wearing. His actual unbelievable picture. And that was just sheer luck. You know, it was following something around because the yellow box was moving all the time. It wouldn't stay still. And there was nobody moving in the room because they were all concentrating on the planchettes and all that type of stuff. And I'm thinking, well, why is it doing what's it looking for? Because obviously it finds a face, doesn't it? It locks on the face to give you the better picture in that frame. And yet it zoomed up to the top of the screen and the camera went off on its own, took the picture. And I thought, what's it taking a picture of a light for? And when I zoomed in, there it was, a picture of this guy's face looking down. And he was Judge Jeffries. He was known as the hanging judge because he would hang lots of people for various crimes in Brighton. And they used the old Brighton police cells. And if I'm right, remember there was down in the cells, it tells you about poison, some of the poisons that would have been used in them days. You know, people would have poisoned their husbands or whatever, their lovers, and they would have a poison chart in the cells down there, so they knew what poisons they were actually dealing with. Julian might back me up on that one. I'm sure it's where they have like a poster of the different potions and the poisons
Mm.
that they could have used. Arsenic and it's there's quite a
Poison,
lot.
wasn't it? Rat poison people used to use, didn't they? Quite a lot.
Well, yeah. So there's Manor Farm, Burlesdon. There's also a place. I think it's Hurst Castle, Milford on Sea, and the park was once home to the Army's first purpose-built military hospital, which opened in 1863, housing 138 wards and 1,000 beds. All that remains today is the chapel, which acts as a heritage centre, while the cemetery of hundreds of Commonwealth war graves, mostly First World War, can be found further in the park. Legend is that the site is haunted by the Grey Lady, and she was thought to have a young nurse who committed suicide by throwing herself from the chapel tower and actually killing a patient. Other versions of the stories are that she was madly in love with the patient who returned to the war, or that her lover was killed in battle and she wanted to be with him.
Oh.
So, that place, and these are places I've never even heard of, so it just shows, if you look around, there's another one here called the White Hart Pub, the 17th century hotel visited by Charles I, while someone claims the building's haunted. They're most famous for spectral associated with orbs movements.
Where's that? White Hart Pub. Where's that?
The White Hart Pub, it's in Hampshire somewhere. Because
Well,
all I put was
Quite a few of them.
yeah, I was gonna say there's one used to be down, but it's gone now. Basically, there's one at White Hart Lane. There was a White Hart Pub.
Hmm.
Wouldn't
There's
it
one
in
in Frimley, I think.
Yeah.
One in
is there?
Frimley. Frimley, sorry.
It looks a bit like that.
Okay.
That's a top window, isn't it? Trying to see.
Yeah, there's a funny window there.
Oh.
And it says that sometimes
That could
people
have
see
been. That could be the one
people
down
in
in
the window.
Portchester, couldn't it? I'm just thinking.
Yeah.
There's one in Portchester. They converted it into 2 houses now. It was
Right,
originally a pub. Then they got rid of it, and then they changed it into spa. Then they changed it and put it into a plumbing place, and now it's been converted into houses. Well, like flat type, but 3 houses, I think, but they put gates through it.
right.
Yeah, and that might be the
They
one.
could,
It's not a stag,
but
is it?
yeah,
Stag, isn't it?
yeah.
They put the stag originally. They moved the stag. I don't think it's not there. It was now the stag's still there, but they have actually left it on the post, which is outside the building.
So it could well be
That one.
that, couldn't it? Yeah, yeah.
So where it's listed, I don't think they could do a lot with it. So
Right.
that could be the same. I had to take when I'm next down there to take a picture, see if it's the same as that.
And then, there's also this going on about the Dolphin in Southampton, not known as the Mercury Southampton Centre Dolphin Hotel, is the oldest hotel in the city, dated back no more than 500 years. And the building has a rich history and was located for Jane Austen's 18th birthday party.
Oh.
Speaking of haunted locations, can I ask the panel, what is your favourite location?
Oh.
Good question. That is a good question. Luke, what's your favourite haunted location?
Shepton Mallet Prison, I'd say.
Yeah?
So much going on there. Such a big place.
Right.
So much energy in there. So much history as well. Interesting history. I quite like prisons. They're interesting to me.
You enjoyed going around. Paula, what would be your favourite?
Mine's easy. Waverley Abbey.
Oh, right.
Yeah, Waverley Abbey. When I went there, and anything else with the monks and anything else, that was great. That's what I mean. I go there every day. If I could live there, it'd be great. No, it's got to be Waverley Abbey. It's got to be.
Angela?
I think mine. I did like 33 Stonegate in York, but you can't go there anymore. So
Right.
I think my favourite is Wimmering Manor.
Oh, you're a Wimmering Manor fan yourself?
Yeah.
I think my favourite one, there's a few really, would be my favourite. Probably the Officer's Mess in Aldershot.
Oh yeah.
Good, yeah.
Do you remember that, Luke? Was you there the night the chandelier was swinging in the hallway?
Yeah, I was there. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Oh.
MPS TV, welcome all. Hello, everybody. Welcome from from us to Texas. Welcome. We're talking about superstition and magic tonight, and we're also talking now. Been asked the question: where is our favourite location for haunting? Mine would probably got to be the Officers' Mess in Aldershot. I've had some real incredible nights there, the paranormal nights. Mark, if you're on there, just tell us what your favourite would be and why.
Yeah.
You know, I have a few locations really. I don't know what it is about Wimmering, but I seem to be quite connected with that. And the other one I really, really enjoyed was the convent.
Oh yeah.
When we did the convent with Paranation.
Mm.
I thought that was actually a brilliant location. Or was the old convent, as it was called? Was it the old convent or the convent?
Yeah, the old convent.
The old convent.
Yeah, that was
You
good.
know, I've had a few places really.
Yeah,
The Ram in UK, Mark. See, I've never been to the Ram, so I'm not sure. I've heard good reports about the Ram. Andrew, you went to the Ram with Paranation, didn't you, with Julia?
Yeah, I did.
What was your take on the Ram? Would it come in as one of your favourites, or?
It was quite sort of quiet. There was things going on, but nothing sort of massive. Like you can go, oh, that's happening and that's happening. It's like subtle things here and there, from what I remember.
One of the other favourites I think I had is when you and Darren did Alistair Crowley's house.
Oh yeah,
I found that so interesting when you both did that live, or you did that recording from there.
Yeah.
You know, and I was just like glued to it, watching it, because I know it was one of Darren's favourite people, wasn't he? And having found the house, I knew he was excited that he'd found the house. But
finally.
I found it so interesting inside, and you know, when you were standing in the corner and you actually lifted, and you said
that was weird,
you know, I feel like I'm lifting off the floor, but when you look at the video, you actually do lift off the floor.
Yeah.
You know, I found that so interesting, that place. You know, I don't know how you found it in amongst all that brush, and you know, you've done really well to find that.
Over walls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what an interesting house.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know whether the people do rituals in there now or not, or quite what it's like inside, but I was really intrigued watching that. It was just, yeah, it was a good live, that one from there. I think, you know, I think every location is your favourite, isn't it? When something happens, it's like the Lamb, when it all kicked off the Lamb that night upstairs, and we saw the shadow in the mirror, and you know, and the lady doing the scry and looking around the rooms, and you know, that's just another level. That was Mark Ricketts, but gosh, yes, anything to do with a Crowler would be amazing. I know Darren knew a lot about Alistair Crowley, a massive amount. You know, I don't know whether Darren studied him or whatever, but I knew he was very excited finding it and watching the video back. You know, you could tell how excited he was. And what was it like inside, Andrew? What did it feel like to be in there?
It did kind of feel like you weren't supposed to be in there, and that if you stay too long, then bad things might happen. But yeah, there's lots of sort of. I think most people that went there wrote something on the wall, and Darren wrote something on the wall as well. There's
did he?
pentagrams on the floor, and yeah, it was a very interesting place, good place.
Yeah, so I think that would probably be one of my favourites. Watching that was just unreal, especially the excitement of finding it as well.
Yeah,
you know, God above knows where you were, how you found it. I don't know. So it was quite a walk, wasn't it? He said.
I sort of had to walk up a hill, and then you could see it, but then it was like, well, how do we get in there? So we got in sort of like the back way. Most people came in from the other side, but we couldn't really get around the other side, so we had to like climb up and over this wall and then under something, and it was a bit risky, but we made it.
In the other, I suppose, yeah.
Time to get in there.
I was like that at RAF Kenley, because they got the Officers' Mess there, and it's right next to the Portcullis Club where we do a bit of paranormal stuff for them. And every time I wanted to go in there, I wanted to get in there, but it's fenced off. It's on MOD land. and you have to be a little bit careful, you know, how you get in, and because they actually have people riding around. It's still used now for gliders and, you know, army training in gliders and all that, RAF Kenley. And they have spotters riding around on bikes. They look like normal public, but you see the bloke about 18 times when you're sitting outside. So it can't be he's riding around 18 times. And they always look at you as they go past. So, you know, they call them spotters. Anyway, I waited for him to go past and I thought, I've got to get in there. I've actually got to get into this building. Because me and Jen, we go up there, we used to go up there walking. And many times you walk past it, it's obviously behind a fence. It's very derelict now. And that we thought we saw someone looking out of the windows with like with a pilot's hat on, like Biggles tight hat. As I looked and I went to Jen, she went, "Did you just see someone look out the window?" And I went, "That window there." She went, "I thought I saw someone, you know, the corner of your eye, saw someone looking out." And that sort of made me more inquisitive to go and have a look. So eventually this bloke went past riding. He was like looking over his shoulder. Me and Jen and her friend were just wandering along with the pops, you know, just making out we were doing nothing. And I slipped over a fence and under a fence and got in there. And that's where I got the picture of the shadow. I went upstairs, I went round, and it's just like it was in the 1960s, you know, 40s. You know, it had its own dance floor out the back and a proper officer's mess. But obviously, the vandals have got in there and wrote things all on the walls and smashed a lot of it up, unfortunately. And that's where I went into a room and I was standing in the room filming it. I think I've still got the video. And I'm filming in this room, like, you know, I'm in the officer's mess, and I can hear like somebody walking on glass. I'm thinking, oh, blimey, you know, I've got caught in here, haven't I? Because as far as I can remember, it's not trespassing if the doors are open. They can only ask you to leave. I'm sure that's how it works. If you break the door open, it's trespassing. But if the entrance is open, it's not classed as trespassing. All they can do is say, you need to leave the building. You know, you can't get in. I'm sure it's something like that, isn't it?
Yeah, it is that, yeah.
So I thought, well, the worst thing they're going to say to me, it's going to be an RAF bloke saying, you shouldn't be in here, you need to get out. And I thought, sort of waited and waited, and I could hear it, the noise getting closer to me, and I'm thinking, why is it coming the door? And now my heart started to speed up a little bit because I'm thinking, who is actually out there? So I stuck my head out the door to have a look, and there was nobody there. And I thought, what? I sort of called out, hello, anybody here? Obviously nothing. And as I'm panning round, the windows behind me, you can see my shadow on the wall opposite me. So I go past and you see my shadow, like, and as I came back filming, I come back past my shadow, but there's a pilot standing behind me with a hat on.
Oh, wow.
Because you can see his head standing by the side of me in the shadow. You actually see his shadow by the side of me. And I didn't see it on the wall because I just filmed past it. And I thought, well, maybe it's time to move now. I've heard footsteps, you know. It's being brave and then being a bit silly, isn't it? So I thought, well, it's time to move now. And I walked out and got out and, you know, that sort of thing. And when I look back at the video, Jen went, who's standing behind you? I went, what do you mean who's standing? It's only me. And when you actually look, you see my shadow as it goes past. And as it comes back, you see the shadow of him standing behind me, right on my shoulder. But, you know, RAF Kenley was used in the Battle of Britain. A lot of Spitfires flew out of RAF Kenley, you know, during the Battle of Britain. So it was quite an active base, you know, and we've been in the Portcullis Club, as they call it. Very active place, that is. Very active place. You know, you see things move, and they got like a bit of a museum where they got all the old Spitfire bits and hats and goggles, and that was the night that myself, Jen, and her friend Helen, who's our historian, and she's a university historian. So you can imagine what she finds out about stuff. Anyway, we went up to RAF Kenley, where the blast chambers were, where they would run the Spitfire engines up before they were ready to fly. So we're standing in the bunker areas, and you can go there. It's free. You don't pay. You can just walk through the gate. You can go in there 24 hours a day. And they got pictures of the Spitfires on the floor. So you imagine them being in these walled off areas where they would run the engines up. We're standing there calling out. There's a few taps, a few bangs. And on this night, it was November the 5th. So it was bonfire night. So we thought, oh, maybe the banging of the fireworks would make it more active that night.
Mm.
So we were standing up, the fireworks going crash and bang, and there's the bloke on his bike again, riding around 18 times while we were standing there in the pitch dark. So quite why he's riding around in the dark, I don't know. Anyway, we stood there for probably half an hour as taps and knocks and bangs and all sorts of weird things. But because you're out in the open, you've got to sort of, could it have been the wind blowing something? I checked all the doors, they're all locked. Anyway, we decided to come home. So we walked out of there down a bit of a path and onto a main road. And right on the main road, right opposite is some houses that got all these big gates.
Mm.
Graham's put, that's amazing, Paul. Never knew who with you sometimes. That's absolutely correct, Graham. You never know who's standing behind you. And I'm a great believer, and I think Julia is as well, for taking pictures behind you on your phone. You know, if you sense something, take a picture. And I just videoed, and I didn't see the shadow until we played it back. Jen went, "Who's standing behind you?" And I went, "What are you on about?" Because I showed her the video. I went, "There's nobody behind me. It's only me." She said, "Look at the video." And you can actually see him standing right on my shoulder. The shadow. You see my shadow, and then you see his shadow right by the side of me. Anyway, we walked back to the road. Very quiet. The fireworks had stopped. And so we had all our phones turned off and all of that type of stuff. And then we heard a noise. It was like, Roger that, okay. Like someone was talking. We're like, who's that? Who's got their phone on? So we checked their phones are all off. So I walked across the road to see if they had any like these phones on the gates, you know, where you press it and you talk into it.
Yeah.
And none of them had it. I thought, well, that's really odd. And we stood there and waited for probably the best part, probably 6 to 10 minutes. And you could hear what sounded like a control tower talking to a pilot. But there was no speakers. And I kept going across the road to see if there's any speaker phones on houses opposite, and somebody was winding us up by talking through them. But none of the houses, they had private gates, but none of them had speaker phones or entry phones, if you want, for want of a word. So we had never worked that one out. Jenna tell you that. And we stood there and we listened to what sounded like a conversation between a tower and a pilot.
Wow.
And yet we stood in there and had nothing, or very minimal. But you know, it was very big. That Biggin Hill and Croydon were very big during the Second World War, and the Battle of Britain. You know, Germans tried to bomb Kenley severely but missed, and so a lot of these Spitfires came from there, Biggin Hill and Croydon, that flew into the Battle of Britain. So interesting place. You know, it's the sort of place that we should all go one day. And because if you walk around the airfield, it's got the different plaques where the guns would have been and where it would have been, and where the women's part that would have been, and that got destroyed when the bomb hit it, and how they used to try and bomb the airfields and destroy a lot of stuff. But during the Second World War, we used to put a lot of dummy planes out in fields, balsa wood planes. So they thought that was the airfield and would bomb there rather than the proper airfield where they would have the planes undercover. So they would fool the Germans thinking they've destroyed all these planes, but actually they hadn't, because the planes were already in the air. Because obviously we're one of the first countries to have radar, weren't we, during the Second World War? So, you know, it's that sort of thing. So, interesting thing. Is there any more questions?
No more questions. There's been loads and loads of comments, so I haven't managed to get them all up.
Okay, that's all right.
And going back to the orange in a glass thingy, that Julia's put the link to the video in the chat. So if anyone wants to see that, you can go back and see it.
I'm definitely gonna watch that.
Yeah. And there was a comment which came in about an hour ago. I thought I'd leave it till near the end because it didn't quite fit in with what we were saying. Where is it? Oh, this one.
Tony Simpson. Hi, Tony. Good evening. Welcome. I'd love a team or teams to get together and do the full month's live stream on a proposed haunted location at 30 East Drive. Now that's an interesting comment, isn't it? 30 East Drive.
Yeah.
But I think you could probably get a load of teams, paranormal teams there. It's a very famous location, isn't it? 30 East Drive. I've not been myself. I think, has Darren been? Did Darren go to that one, Andrew? Do you know?
Yeah, he went to
I
that
think
one.
he did, didn't he? But I've never been myself. Luke, have you been, or
Yeah, I went a few years ago. I went with my uncle. Yeah,
what, to 30 East Drive?
yeah.
Tell us a bit about it, then, Luke. What's it like?
Well, it's a weird thing about the water. The floor was dry at first, and all of a sudden we saw a puddle on the floor. Came out of nowhere.
Oh.
Wasn't near a sink either or nothing. My uncle
Oh.
wondered where it come from. Then he looked at there's like writing on the wall. It said that mysterious puddles appear sometimes in the place.
Oh. Oh.
Oh,
He couldn't figure out where it came from. We couldn't either.
how weird is that?
Yeah,
It just suddenly appeared out of nowhere.
yeah, it did. Yeah, on the floor. Yeah, wasn't there before. We didn't notice it because we was there all night. We had sleepover. Everyone else,
Right.
everyone else left, but me and my uncle was the last ones there.
Right. That's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
That reminds me, Luke, of do you remember the Halfway in Ripley,
Oh yeah, yeah,
where you stayed the night, but you came
Yeah.
out in the early hours of the morning, didn't you?
yeah.
What happened that night?
Oh, it's just something wanted me out of there. I know it did. It's trying to scare me. It's made
Very
me
s-
all emotional.
Quite a scary pub, that one, wasn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah,
That's where we had the door slam in the upstairs bedroom, held us in the bedroom. We couldn't get out.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah. We're saying it's like I think a friend of mine, Jackie, she was there that night, and we were sitting in the upstairs bedroom. So when and this room's quite infamous. When you walk in here, you think, "Oh, something bad's happened here." You know, when you get that instant
Yeah.
feeling of not things not right.
Yeah.
So we were sitting on the edge of the bed. We were saying, "Well, can you make a noise? Can you do something? We know you're here." And we could hear what sounded like footsteps in the bathroom, which was
Oh.
like an ensuite. And when you went in the bathroom, it was so cold in there, and you came back to the main room and it was really warm. You could tell the difference. So we were sitting on the bed cooling out, and suddenly there was a loud bang in the bathroom, and then the door slammed in the bedroom. Bang!
Right.
And it's like a latch, like barn door type latch. And when we tried to open it, we couldn't get it open. We couldn't get it. We could not get this door open.
Oh.
And like you're like, oh my god, we're locked in a room here. This is not good. And we kept saying, okay, thank you for doing that. We appreciate it. Let go of the door now. And then suddenly you heard the latch go, and then the door just slowly opened back to where it was originally. So that was a really interesting. I think it's called the Halfway In. Graham's
Okay.
put, I felt like a short castle. There's always been someone walking around with us, judging by the EVPs that are captured while we were there. I know Graham's caught some great EVPs from there. I've always listened to, whenever he's put them on, I've always listened to them. So there's some great EVPs. There've been a lot of times lately, and going tomorrow morning, always had some amazing responses, names, comments, and EVP Heaven Graham. Yeah, and I've listened to all the ones you put on there, Graham. They're amazing. What you capture is absolutely amazing. I don't know what type of recorder you're using, but have you ever heard any of Graham's EVPs? Anybody? Julia,
No.
Angela, Paula, Luke.
Don't think so.
I think I heard a
Amazing.
Wavely Abbey one I heard once. I think.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
he catches some amazing EVPs. I don't know how he does it, but when you listen to him, you're just blown away. There's such good contact. Like he's put on their names, and he gets all sorts of things come through. I think they just like you, Graham. That's what it is.
Yeah.
They just want to have a chat with you. Any more comments, Angela? Or
Nope.
but 30 each drive would be good. If you've got a whole group of paranormal group. How big is the house, Luke? Is it big enough to get a few groups in, or was it just sort of a one group time?
Maybe one group. It's like a council house, really. Like a normal council estate. It's a bit strange. Like a 1970s council house.
Right. Oh, okay. Right. No, I've never done that one, so it would be interesting to see.
Yeah.
I think I watched a program on TV where they did a famous haunting program on TV. They did 30 East Drive. I think that was the one where they had the knife upside down on the sofa.
Oh, right.
Is that the one? Yeah, I think that's 30 East Drive. And when they pan round, there's no knife or anything there. And when they go back into the room to start to do their main recording, then between the cushion, there's a sharp kitchen knife sitting up on its end, just stuck out of the sofa. So Graham said Olympus WS852. All I do is ask a lot of questions to bore them into replying. I don't think they're bored in their reply, Graham, because they always seem to come to you. Whether they're trying to get rid of you or not, I don't know. But you always come away with some amazing EVPs, direct contacts, grade A's contact, really. So they're so good. But if you ever get a chance to try and listen to some of them, go onto Graham's, and he puts them on there, but you often hear it right in the background. Some real good contact. If there's no more comments, let's say August the 26th, we have the American Paranormal Group coming on. We've had confirmation. So they're coming forward on the 26th, all being well. Obviously, Bank Holiday Monday, so it might be difficult. I'm not sure where I'll be, in Hampshire somewhere, I'd imagine, for a Bank Holiday weekend.
Julie's got a 24th down that. Oh, I'm trying to figure where it is now. I'm going to
Or the Groundlings.
That's on Groundlings, yeah.
Groundlings, yeah. So on the Monday the 26th is Haunted Souls America are coming on to chat to us about paranormal in America. Very interesting couple, like I said in the beginning, very interesting couple. So if you have any questions, please send them in, or you can come on the panel and ask them questions. Lovely couple, very knowledgeable history in America, and they're very big in America, this group. I did a podcast for them a few months ago now, because they'd never had a UK investigator on a podcast. Very good. And they broadcast live from a haunted location, don't they, Luke?
Yeah, do yeah.
So it could be interesting while we're talking to them, keep an eye on around them and see the bangs and the taps and the knocks, and they just laugh it off. Oh, here we go again, don't they? But it's quite funny. We look at it and think, oh, but they laugh it off. But obviously in America, it's paranormal is huge on the hit list, so they have a big following as well. And if you go onto their YouTube channel or their Facebook channel, Haunted Souls, it's called Souls in the Shadows or something like that, and their podcast, and they have some really interesting people on there. They had a Canadian paranormal investigator, a lady that owns a haunted museum. She done a talk about when they lock up at night and how things move, and it's not there when they get back and have to go and find it. So they delayed even more longer in the haunted locations. She that was a very interesting story. Well worth popping onto their YouTube channel, Haunted Souls, and listen to their thing. They're season 2, episode 28 or something. So they've been going a while. Really nice couple. Really nice couple. So they'll be on the 26th, Monday the 26th, all being well. But we'll keep you posted nearer the time. We'll send it out. But please come on, ask them questions. They're looking forward to questions. They like our accents, so they'll enjoy. Ask them anything about American paranormals, where they've been, what they've done, what equipment they use. Very interested in what equipment we used here, and that different techniques between us and the Americans into the paranormal world. They do a lot of battlefields, but they don't do a lot of castles, where we do a lot of castles and not so many battlefields. So, we sort of have that difference. But they've done all sorts of places. So be very interesting. So please come on, ask them lots of questions. They'll answer your questions. Great couple, very funny, very funny couple. So please join us. If there's no more comments, we'd just like to say a big thank you from us for coming on tonight and joining us, and your comments, Graham and Mark and them, and MPS Texas. Thank you for your comment. I think it was MPS Texas TV, was it?
NSPS.
And yeah, thank you for you coming on, and all the others that have commented. Been really interesting night tonight, talking about superstition and magic. Well done, Angela.
Thank you.
So if you have any subjects we could talk about, or
Paula does.
Paranormal challenges.
Paranormal changes.
Challenges.
That's an interesting one.
That
Quite
could do
scary.
equipment. You can do equipment or what goes wrong. with things or anything like that,
Yeah.
really, that kind of subject. Do you know what I mean? So I
There
was
you
trying
go.
to think
Paranormal changes. So
challenges.
next week we could talk about where you shouldn't have been and what went wrong and why you ran, or why you didn't put the camera on because you were too busy
Yeah.
running from the noise. So come on next week and we'll have a laugh. I'm sure that'll be quite funny things that'll happen. So please come on and join us next week. We've done an hour and 39, and I didn't realise that the time was running by. So please come on and join us next week and drop your comments in, and we'll read them out and answer them and help and tell us your funny moments in the paranormal world, all the funny things that have happened to you. And I'm sure there'll be some funny comments coming in. I hope, make us all laugh. I've had a few things happen that have made me run or made me think again, why am I here? Why am I doing this? But it's all because of the passion. So from all of us on here, have a very, very safe week. And we'll see you all next week. So take care. Have a safe week. Bye.